The Dallas Cowboys, they have lost some impact players heading into 2024. They have turned over their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in consecutive years. They really feel like they've failed to push their chips in during the Dak Prescott era at quarterback. The question many people are asking is, are they cooked? Do they have any chance now of moving beyond the first or second round of the playoffs? Do they have a chance to make some real noise in January and push for that game in February? We're going to talk about it here today. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm your host, Jordan Lugo. This is Rogue Football. So starting with the offensive side of the ball, where you can get excited about this Dallas Cowboys football team is quarterback Dak Prescott, who I mentioned. They still do have CeeDee Lamb, although he's currently not at OTAs. Brandon Cooks is on the team as well. A lot of people forget about how good of a football player Brandon Cooks can be as a number 2 receiver. Jake Ferguson, a good pass catching tight end as well. You know, Dak Prescott, he's been an underrated quarterback for a lot of his career. He was playing at an MVP level for a long stretch of the 2023 campaign. He's incredibly smart. He will put the ball in tight spots, tight windows that most quarterbacks wouldn't even dream of. He's completing passes into those. I love the way he sees the field, the way he plays the position. He's gotten a lot of his mobility back at this point after that gruesome ankle injury a few years ago. He will stand and deliver in the pocket, and he is accurate with the football. He is a playmaker. He is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, in my opinion. Now, he does need some help. He is going into the final year of his deal. Like, is there no desire for the Cowboys to lock him up, to get him under contract long term? I don't think you're about to see Dak Prescott falling off a cliff as a upper echelon starting quarterback in this league. Not ready to say he's one of the elite quarterbacks, but I definitely think he's in the top 10. Like, Dak Prescott, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, he is my top priority. The Cowboys have made their intentions clear over the years that he's not their top priority. And then you also have the CeeDee Lamb situation going on. He is so versatile. He's an incredible playmaker. You move him all over the formation and he just eats, right? But he's not there right now. He wants his new deal. He saw what Justin Jefferson got. He's going to want to get somewhere in that ballpark, right? Cowboys, are they going to get the deal done, or is he going to continue to hold out? Don't know. I did mention Jake Ferguson. He is a very good receiving tight end, has developed really nicely for them. And Brandon Cooks is a really solid number 2 receiver. So they do have firepower. I'm actually really excited about the interior of the offensive line as well for the Dallas Cowboys. Like Zach Martin and Tyler Smith at guard, great duo if that's how it works out here. And then I think Cooper Beebe should win that job at center quickly. I really do. He's a very good player, doesn't have great length, but a really good athlete, technically refined, tough as hell. He's versatile. He's played all over the offensive line during his days in college at Kansas State. So I think that is a really talented, fun group on the interior for the Cowboys. But I do have questions about the tackle position. Terrence Steele, regardless of his contract, which is a pretty big one, you need him to play a lot better than he did in 2023. He will be further removed from the knee injury, but he struggled greatly last year. He looked like a replacement level player out there at right tackle for them. And then you have Tyler Guyton, who I just don't know. He's physically gifted, there's no doubt about that, but he is unrefined physically. He struggles to pick up concepts in the run game as well. When you check out his tape at Oklahoma, potentially starting him at left tackle. He played right tackle last year. To me, that is a big, big swing to rely on him to play well in year one. And so you have questions at both tackle spots right now. Is Terrence Steele going to be the player that you saw before the knee injury, or the guy you saw last year? Or is it going to be somewhere in between? Can Tyler Guyton quickly become a much more mature player with his technique, with the mental side of the game? If the answer to both of those questions is yes, sure, you could be feeling pretty good. But I think that those are big bets by the Dallas Cowboys in a season in where they should be trying to push their chips in. Like, could they not have done more at tackle? This is supposed to be a team that is competing for a Super Bowl, right? That's where the Dallas Cowboys should be. Do they have a Super Bowl tackle tandem right now? I'm leaning towards no. Then you have the running back group. It's not inspiring at all. You've got Zeke. You've got Rico Dowdle. Deuce is fun. I love him, but he's tiny as well. It's not an inspiring group. It's really not. Offensive design, it's good. You've got Shoddy. You've got Mike McCarthy. They're solid. Nothing wild, nothing to write home about, nothing that is groundbreaking, but they're good enough with Dak running things and with these weapons to have a very competitive offense. Again, the question's going to be: is Dak Prescott getting so much pressure from the edge that that things kind of break down? Questions at offensive tackle. You don't have a ton of receiving depth. I do like your frontline guys, but if there's an injury, that could be super concerning. Uninspiring running backs. It's tough to get super juiced with how they're supporting Dak. To me, it really is. And you want them to lock up CeeDee Lamb on a big long-term extension. When is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll see how it plays out for the Cowboys on the offensive side of the ball. Then on the defensive side of the ball, there's just as much intrigue. You have Mike Zimmer coming in, and I think he'll be an interesting fit. He's much more rigid in his approach than Dan Quinn was. So the coaching style will be super different. The defense will be different from a schematic standpoint as well. You're going to have to see how this meshes. It's going to be interesting. And you've already got Micah Parsons talking about some interesting things, lack of communication from Mike Zimmer to the defensive star there. I could see this thing blowing up in their faces. I really could. I could also see Mike Zimmer kind of molding a more disciplined defense that can get the job done later on in the season. So I could really see this thing going either way on the defensive side of the ball. You do have a super talented pass rush with Micah Parsons, who he's one of the freaks of all freaks in the NFL. One of the very best players you could possibly have on a football team, Micah Parsons. You have DeMarcus Lawrence, Osa Odigizua. I loved the Marshawn Nealon draft pick as well, another edge rusher for them. Sam Williams is there too. When you talk about up front, the big question is, can Mozzie Smith step up? Like, this is a guy that has not gotten the job done so far. Linebacker-wise, you're fine. Not super inspiring, but, Kendricks does have experience with Zimmer. You've got some guys with experience. I wouldn't get fired up about this group, but it's also probably like not the worst in the NFL. I do like the secondary with Diggs, Deron Bland, obviously, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Jordan Lewis. I think Kalen Carson was a good draft pick on day 3. So I think they have what it takes in the secondary to be effective. Obviously, turn the football over a ton with some of those corners that you have in Diggs and Bland. So it's going to come down to how Mike Zimmer comes in and implements this thing and how these players buy in to what he's selling on the defensive side of the ball. So far, it seems like it hasn't been the perfect marriage. And that's not surprising. He's a rigid guy. He's not the friendliest defensive coach or coach in general on the planet. And going from Dan Quinn to that, I could see how there could be some growing pains in this relationship between the players and the coach. I think there's some folks out there that think the Cowboys are completely cooked here. I don't see that, but I will accept and agree with the fact that I think they did very little to try to improve their station heading into a make or break year. Like, I don't think they've done anything in terms of being more competitive in the playoffs than they have in years past. I really don't. I don't see them winning a playoff game, even if they host a home playoff game. It's hard for me to see them winning one. You just have to pray that Mike Zimmer gets this defense playing better late in the season and that your tackles are able to ball out on the offensive side of the ball. If those two things do happen, you maybe have a chance to make it to the divisional round, but I still don't have enough confidence in this organization to really make it to the championship round in the NFC, to push for a Super Bowl. Like, that would honestly shock me. And so this is where they've been for decades, Good enough to make the playoffs, good enough to maybe host a home playoff game, maybe win one game. But is that good enough for the Dallas Cowboys, one of the most storied franchises in NFL history? It seems for Jerry Jones it is enough, because this is not a team that has been pushing their chips in. They have had opportunities to be much more aggressive, but it just doesn't look like they want to be. They don't want to be that football team. They're saying, we'll stay competitive, we'll build through the draft, and that's pretty much it. They're still my number 5 team in the NFC, second in the NFC East behind the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them in the same tier as the Rams, Seahawks, and Falcons. For me, it's possible that if those teams take step forwards and the Cowboys just kind of stagnate, it's possible the Cowboys don't even make the playoffs. I think the NFC will be much more competitive in 2024 than it has been in the last several years. So just really uninspiring stuff from Big D here. I think it would take a miracle, really, for them to make more noise in the playoffs than they have in recent years. Now, Dak Prescott, can he deliver that? Can he put the team on his back? I think there's a good chance he can. If CeeDee Lamb shows up, if Brandon Cooks is able to stay healthy and continue to ball out, if Jake Ferguson takes another step forward, if these tackles play well. But it's a lot of ifs. So if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, please let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.